Well, I got a Sharp VCR here, and it is a model VC-6630. Not quite sure what's going on with it. Thought I'd bring you guys along. Have not even powered it up. All I've done is pulled the top off of the unit. Anyhow, there's all of the options at that time for a 4-head mono VCR. This is not a hi-fi stereo VCR. And I think these were probably made, I haven't looked at the back yet, I believe probably in the 87, 88 year range. I wonder if the tag might actually say back here. It does have a model and a serial number 007, which could mean 87. And I don't see any other indications on the back of it of a date. I could probably look at some of these capacitors down here and see if they actually have a date code on them. Once again, haven't powered it up, haven't done anything. It's got belts, and these were a big problem when these machines were new. And look at that, it's actually got a dew sensor. VCRs back in the early days had dew sensors, so that if you brought it in from the garage and it was 35 degrees in there and you brought it into your 75-degree house at 70% humidity, depending on where you live, well, moisture condenses on cold surfaces. And so they installed that dew sensor right there. And yeah, did away with it shortly after that. I mean, it worked great, but sometimes it worked a little too well. Okay, so power has been applied. And I do see 4 blinking dashes on the clock. I'm going to hit the power button. And it does show that it's on, and it's on channel 2. Let's just see if it even tries to take a tape in. If you try this, use a tape you really don't care about. It appears to try. There's a possibility something is out of time because it just wants to run forward and then backwards again. Could have a dirty mode select switch. I swear it went in farther that one time. Or a lot of times something is out of time on these units. Anyhow, there is the mode select switch, which looks like that little reverse Oreo cookie right there. So not too terribly bad to get to. I don't think you even have to pull the mechanism out to get to it. Well, let me do a little bit of research and try a couple of things maybe. We'll see what happens. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to see if I can just load this tape by hand. So I'll just try to load it in and make sure that it does load. Okay, so that tells me the mechanism is timed correctly because you saw this little, it's a shift fork engage or disengage. And so that disengages the carriage unit from the loading motor and the main mechanism. Just want to see if the loading posts even try to move. I'm almost sure this is going to need a set of belts. No movement yet. Wow. I should just hook the power supply up to it, I guess. I saw something change. I think a brake released on the tape, possibly. And it should have loaded a long time ago. There is something else going on. Well, let's power it up and see if it wants to eject the tape at least. Yeah, it doesn't know where it is. So, looking down in here, I thought I saw a broken pin. Anyhow, let's get the tape out of it, and we'll pull this thing apart. One moment. Okay, I'm going to see if I can get this mechanism out of here where I can get a good look at the bottom. You know what? I wonder if I can just pull the bottom. I don't think these things have a complete circuit board like some of the later models did. I did remove the front already. And I'm just used to late model VCRs having a complete circuit board or some kind of obstruction blocking the bottom of the mechanism. Well, there it is. Make sure you use your egg carton screw separator so you don't get everything mixed up. So I'm looking for something broken over in here, and everything looks pretty good. That's what loads the actual guides. And so it goes through the slot right there. So let me try to load this up and see what is moving or what is not moving, because that's going to be a problem. Okay, so I went ahead and connected a couple of wires up to the loading motor right here. And I just want to run the mechanism forward and backwards and just see what happens up top, and then flip it over and see what happens underneath. But I'm going to go ahead and just remove the loading belt right there, so the carriage won't move in or out or any of that. It'll just run the chassis. Okay, so I have my power supply set on 4.5 volts right now. I just want to see what happens. It should be either a 6 or a 12 volt motor. And it appears it is going the right direction. So it should be trying to load right now. And look at it, did try to load, and then it stopped. And the motor stalled. So is something bound up down here? That's kind of strange. Okay, so there is the mechanism. That way should be load. And this didn't want to move at all. And it feels like it's bound up. Let me try to run the loading motor the other direction. So yeah, that would be unloading. Okay, that's against the stop right there. Interesting. Well, one moment while I do a little bit more homework. So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and pop off this intermediate gear right here. Try to get near the center of the screen and maybe zoom in just a tad. Okay, now if I can just not lose it, that would be great. Now there are timing marks. There's a line in the gear just pressed into it, and then a line there, so those do have to line up. And I kind of just want to see if there's something bound up down here. And I think there was, and I think it's old grease. Oh yeah, that's it. The grease is just super, wow, it's like sticky. This used to happen to the Zenith VCRs when they were about 6 or 7 years old. The grease would turn into glue. You'd have to completely tear it apart. This is a similar mechanism too. So I think, yeah, that grease over there it's really tacky. I think that's probably going to take care of it with the addition of maybe a couple of belts and, of course, a mode select switch cleaning. I believe that's what's causing it to just run forward, backwards. Well, let me get the customer an estimate and see if they want to proceed, because it's going to be a couple hour job to pull this thing apart, clean it, relube it, and put it all back together. So I kind of doubt there's going to be a part 2 to this one, just because it is a 4-head mono, non-hi-fi stereo, just VHS VCR. Although they were pretty good machines. So I'm going to close it there. Everyone have a great day. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Bye-bye. Well, I couldn't just leave you hanging, could I? So I decided I'm going to go ahead and put the belt back on. I disconnected the power supply. There, the lead's just hanging there. No, they're not touching anything. And I thought I'm going to go ahead and pop tape back into it. And then I'm going to try to help it load and see if it completes loading or even tries to load. I think we're going to have to service that mode select switch first, but I did run it forward and backwards 2 or 3 times. That does have a tendency to clean oxidized switches. Okay, let me get the mechanism into view right there. I apologize for the reflection on the upper cylinder washing out some of the picture. And we shall power this unit back on. Not so fast, ding dong. When I applied the loading motor leads, I disconnected the plug from it. I didn't want to damage the loading motor driver. Okay, here we go again. Power being applied. Please don't blow up. Oh, it didn't blow up. That's good. So power on. And I doubt it's going to work correctly, but we'll try anyhow. Look at that. Oh, I can't reach it. Maybe it thought it was done. Oh, that's not a good sound. Oh, I think that's the capstan motor. It is. It looked like it was trying to load. I think it was. Well, let's power it back on. Other than the capstan motor, it seems to be doing pretty good. Let me get you a better view here. Yeah, that mode select switch is really messed up. And that capstan motor is not much better. Is it going to try to load maybe? Loading motor's not even trying to do anything. Yeah, that mode select switch is messed up. All right, stop it. I'm going to have to unload it by hand, obviously. Okay, let's connect the power supply reverse-wise. Yeah, the belt was slipping just a little bit right there. Okay. Well, got my tape out. Seems to not have done any damage to it at all. Yeah, let's do that mode select switch and see if the mechanism wants to work. I could probably wipe it off and spray some fresh white lithium grease on it quite easily and try to save this thing from the recycle bin and pull the capstan shaft out and possibly lube the bushings. I'm sure they're just, oh yeah, that's not good at all. That's a lot of play. Okay, let's think about it. Hang on. One moment. Well, thought to myself, let's just go ahead and pull this loading motor assembly out. And, well, who did that? And I think we can just lift it completely out of here, minus the wires that I applied to it. And let's go ahead and service this mode select switch. I just got to know, does this thing work at all? All right, let go. All right, there it is. There is the mode select switch. There's really no timing whatsoever except for the mode select switch. There's going to be a D in the shaft right here on the motor, and as you can see, there's a flat right there facing down. And so that is alignment. Now, I'm not sure if I don't think I have to pop it apart. I think I can just use brute force. Let's go ahead and get this VCR off the bench. One moment. All right, let's just see if we can pop this thing open with no special tools. And the answer is yes. And the question is it oxidized? Yes, for 500. Okay, well, I'm going to clean it out real quick, do the acetone test on it, and we will proceed in one moment. All right, so as you know, I use acetone to clean these things. It works very, very well, provided it does not eat the plastic that it is made of. And I don't think it's going to on this one, just based on the sheen on the plastic. But I have a cotton swab just dipped in acetone. I'm just going to rub it around here. And if the tip of the cotton swab turns black, then I cannot use it. And as you can see, no plastic came off. So I'm going to wipe it out first. This won't hurt it in the least. Could almost just get away with putting it together at this point. And then if I can get the contacts over here, I just want to wipe off the contacts also. And then I am going to give them a little bit of extra up tension. Okay, that looks good. Okay, time for our friend Mr. Stainless Toothbrush. This is a newer one. I seem to have misplaced the half that I had. I need to cut another one in half because that was so effective. So I'm just going around and scrubbing the silver-plated contacts. And this will just breathe new life into them. I like them a little bit rough to help self-clean the contacts as it moves along. Some people think they want a shiny mirror finish on these. But like I said, I've been doing it 40 plus years, including some of my own units that I've had for over 20, sometimes close to 30 years. But I like the looks of that much better. There's still just the tiniest little wear pattern, but I think I'm just going to let that one slide. Once again, wiping it out with acetone, because it did make plastic dust, so you want it fairly clean inside. And now for the contacts, I'm just going to brush them in one direction just to clean them up ever so slightly. I'm going to put my fingernail down, not to break the plastic, and then I'm going to bend these up just a few degrees. Kind of like that. Since I did brush them, I want to wipe them off. Next, the dielectric grease. Got a tube of silicone dielectric grease. I'm just going to go ahead and glob a fair amount onto the end of a cotton swab. And no, I'm not too terribly worried if I get one stray cotton swab hair in it. This is just going to add a coating to the silver-plated contacts. And then I'm just going to add a dab, if I can get my fingernail under here, to these contacts also. Snap it together and just run it around a bunch of times in each direction. Okay, good with that. Remember, those marks were virtually lined up right there, so I'm going to reline them up. So let's pop it back in and see if it tries to load and eject and take the tape any better than last time. All right, well, the mode select switch, it's kind of washed out there, but is lined up. The little tab there, you can barely see it in the shadow, is lined up with the tab right there. And then it does turn this slightly, and my D is rotated in the opposite direction. So this should basically just drop into place. Kind of like that. I'll put the screws in it, and we'll see if it makes a difference. Okay, power has been reapplied. Mode select switch has been serviced. It's all put back together. I just want to see if it's going to make any kind of a difference. Power is on. Belts are connected. I believe these are probably the original belts too. And there it's trying to load. And it timed out. I was too slow. So close though, so close. Now it should give the tape back with no problem at this point. Okay, that passed. It did a real check. So now that it's started, I'm going to help load it, just like that. And it shut down again. Yeah, it's going to need belts. Yeah, it's slipping really bad. That's why it's timing out. Even with the new belts, it'll probably actually go ahead and load correctly. The motor sounds bad. I don't know what to do. It's definitely got a bad capstan motor. At least I'm pretty sure at this point I can change the belts and make this thing work if I oil the capstan bushing. Okay, I think that's it for real this time. I need to get the customer an estimate because I'm digging a grave way too deep. The rabbit hole has basically struck water at this point. Let me see if I can see a date on this thing real quick. Let's go ahead and look over here at the circuit board and take a look at that IC right there, which I believe is probably the main microprocessor. 9034. That means the 34th week of 1990. I would have thought this was a little bit older than that. But yeah, definitely 34 years old. Not too terribly bad. Still pretty good shape. Okay, let's go ahead and just call it. I don't think I'm going to throw belts on it just to find out that the capstan motor is bad, but I guess I could. Okay, well, I went ahead and dug around. I found a suitable replacement loading belt. I just threw it on there. I just want to see, is it going to try to load and keep running? And it appears that it is. I need to find the play button on this thing. And it's the second button over in the group of 4, play. Oh my God, it's actually playing. The tape is physically moving. Well, is it going to shut off? I don't know. Let me get a capture device set up. One moment.
Oh yeah, I think we better.
Yeah, that is so deceiving. I just can't believe that they do that.
What is it that they did?
South and north, instead of telling you Las Vegas and Salt Lake.
I mean
So you
Los
did-
Angeles and Salt Lake.
Or whatever. Yeah. Whichever, I don't know what.
Oh, well, I can't get twisted around that far. Okay.
You might when we get turned around on the intersection.
Although they were pretty good machines.